Hey friends, welcome to the House of Plenty Studio Kitchen in downtown Hamilton, Alabama. I'm excited to have you here with me today, and we're going to be working through one of my favorite recipes for pizza margherita. So grab a drink and push pause on the video if you have to, get a piece of paper ready, because you're going to want to write all of this down so that you can make this for your friends and family. Let's get started. Any pizza has to have a crust, whether it's a cauliflower crust or a traditional pizza crust or a flatbread crust or some naan bread. But today I'm going to take you on a very quick and easy yeasted pizza dough that you can make in just a few minutes with no special tools at all, just what you already have in your kitchen. So today on for our pizza dough, what we're going to start with is a cup of flour. And then I've got a teaspoon and a half of sugar. We've got 1 packet of fast rising yeast. We're going to put in there. And then we're going to add just a few pinches of salt. Now at this point is when you can flavor your dough. You don't have to, certainly, it's an optional step, but what I've got is some Tuscan seasoning or Italian seasoning. You can use a little garlic powder or onion powder if you like. Just put a few pinches of that in there, and that's going to add some fragrance to our dough, and it's going to just deepen the flavor and give us a really great finished product. So now I've got my flour, my sugar, a little salt, seasoning, and yeast. So I'm going to put 3/4 of a cup of warm water in here, and then we're going to use a wooden spoon to incorporate everything. What we're doing here is just stirring this up. It's going to be very sticky. This is going to help dissolve that yeast and the salt and the sugar together. To this dough, we're going to add another cup of flour. And we're going to work that in until the flour is hydrated and we've got a nice elastic ball of pizza dough. All right, so we've got a little bit of a shaggy dough here that has started, and so I'm going to just start bringing it together with my hands to form that ball. Make sure that all the flour gets incorporated. I'm not really kneading the dough. I'm just squeezing it gently and picking up the bits of flour to make sure it all gets incorporated. We don't want to overwork the dough too much and activate the gluten, because we're not making bread, we're making pizza dough. As you can see, we've got a nice sort of supple ball of dough here that we can form, and it's not too tacky or sticky. So we have plenty of flour in there. It's been hydrated by the water. Just going to form that into a ball. Then in a separate and clean mixing bowl, we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Make sure you get it up the sides of the bowl. And we're going to take our pizza dough and we're going to toss it in that olive oil to kind of coat it on all sides. And then we're going to set it in that bowl. And I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap. You can also cover it with a damp towel and put it in a warm place to rise for 30 to 45 minutes until it's relaxed and doubled in size. Great pizza has great sauce, and we're going to show you how to make it at home right now with ingredients you probably already have in your kitchen cabinet. You don't want to make pizza using marinara sauce or a spaghetti sauce that you buy at the store, because the moisture content in the marinara sauce and spaghetti sauce is going to leave your dough really gummy and rubbery. You want to make a sauce that's very low moisture so that you can get the crisp crust. We're going to start with a can of tomato paste. You're going to want to use a 1 6-ounce can of tomato paste. This is a 12-ounce can because I'm having a little pizza party later on, so I'm just doubling my recipe so that I can already have my pizza sauce made. Right, and to your 6-ounce can of tomato paste, you're going to add 1 can of tomato sauce that I'm doubling my recipe, so I'm putting in 2. A single recipe of this pizza sauce will make you somewhere between 4 and 6 pizzas, depending on how much sauce you like to add. And so you certainly can put it in a jar and stick it in your fridge, and it'll last 7 to 10 days in your refrigerator. We're gonna incorporate the tomato sauce with the tomato paste. Right. We're gonna add about 1/2 tablespoon of salt. I'm using kosher salt here, and 1/2 tablespoon of ground black pepper. Got 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning, 2 tablespoons of oregano. Got some garlic powder, about 1/2 teaspoon, and 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. We're just gonna whisk that together. And as an optional ingredient to add to your pizza sauce, it will help the flavor bloom a little more on the tongue, is a small amount of sugar. We've got about 1 teaspoon there. Again, that's optional. If you're doing keto, you can omit it entirely, or you could use coconut sugar if you're doing paleo. All right. So our pizza sauce is all mixed together here. I'm just going to put it in a container to save to use later. You can see that doubled recipe gave us a generous quart, so we could make probably 10 pizzas off of this. So just do a single recipe if it's just you making for pizza for your family at home. All right, so now we have made our pizza crust and it's rising. We have our pizza sauce out of the way, ready to use. We need to prepare our ingredients for the toppings for the Margherita pizza. And what is on a Margherita pizza? It's very simple. Sliced tomatoes, basil, and mozzarella cheese. I'm gonna start with the tomatoes that we're using. I've got a few here that I picked up at my local farmer's market. I've got a whole bunch of tomato plants at home that me and my wife are growing. Well, really my wife, she's the gardener. I just eat the produce, but we didn't have any tomatoes on the vine today. So I just stopped by my local produce stand and picked up a couple of these beefsteak tomatoes. And I'm just gonna slice them thinly. All right, I'm gonna lay my tomatoes here in this bowl. Just for a little extra layer of flavor, I give them a quick drizzle with some olive oil and a little salt and pepper. And add some more. And now we've got to prepare our basil. I've got basil growing in my green stalk garden towers on the front porch, so I've already went out and picked some basil here. I've got some beautiful purple basil and then some regular Genovese basil here. I'm just gonna get some of these leaves off the stem. And you can lay these leaves whole on your pizza when it's time to top your pizza. Or I'm gonna use some kitchen scissors and I'm just gonna cut thin little shreds of basil. I wish y'all could smell what I'm smelling. Freshly sliced tomato, this fresh basil being cut. I imagine this is what Italy smells like. All right, so we've made our dough. We've got our sauce, so that's set aside. We've now got our toppings ready. The other thing we need is the cheese. Traditionally, a Margherita pizza is made with buffalo mozzarella or a whole milk mozzarella, and it comes in a ball and it's soft and you slice it and it's delicious and creamy. But I live in a rural town that I don't have quick access to real whole milk mozzarella, so I've just got the low fat, low moisture mozzarella that I've shredded here, and I've got a little bit of provolone cheese. I had a nub of provolone in the fridge, so I shredded that up. So I've got just a combination of mozzarella and provolone here. All right, we've got our dough here that's been rising. You can see the plastic wrap is taut because the gases have been building up inside this bowl. Just going to uncover that, and we're just gonna pound it a little bit to release the gases so that we can roll our dough out. You wanna make sure that you flour your rolling surface really well so that your dough doesn't stick to it. You want to flour your rolling pin. Get our pizza dough here, and we're just gonna sprinkle a bit on the top. and then I'm going to knead it just a few times, 5 to 6 times, to incorporate some more flour, just to take it from its relaxed, sticky, wet self to like a nice round dough ball. That's all it took. Took just a little bit of flour, and we're back to a ball of dough here. I'm just going to put that on my floured surface. You can see as you're rolling out the dough here, the beautiful flecks from the Tuscan seasoning that we put in the dough. You're going to want to roll your dough out from 12 to 18 inches in diameter. 12-inch will give you a nice like thick or pan style crust. 18 inches will get you a little closer to a thin crust. Make sure you keep moving it around. Add a little flour when necessary. If you cut a little tear in your dough or poke a little hole, just fold it back down and roll over it. I think I've stretched this one about as far as I can take it. So we're going to get our pizza pan. And here to our pizza pan, I'm going to add just a little bit of cornmeal. This is going to help prevent your pizza crust from sticking to the bottom of the pan and help give you a little bit of a crispy bottom to your crust. Right, we're going to transfer our dough. Now we're going to create the outer crust. Very simple process. We're just going to take the outer edge of this dough and we're going to fold it over on itself. We're just going to go around the pizza, kind of press it down and create that outer edge. Of course, if you don't like crust on the edge of your pizza, you don't have to do this step. You can just leave it one long flat round of pizza dough. Now you're going to want to do what's called docking your pizza dough. That's basically just poking little holes around the crust to prevent large air bubbles from forming while it bakes, and so that your pizza stays nice and flat. You can use the end of a fork. I've got my tomato knife here, so I'm just going to go around and poke a few holes. All right, so now we're going to add sauce to our pizza crust. We've got the pizza sauce here. It doesn't take much, just about 1/2 cup. Just spreading that, getting all the way to the edge of our crust. You can see a little bit goes a long way. So I still have almost a full quart for my pizza party later on, and you'll have plenty of sauce left after your batch should do 3, 4, maybe even 5 more pizzas. Like I said, this can keep in your fridge for 7 to 10 days, or you can freeze it and pull it out the night before you need it. We're going to put our basil down first so that it doesn't kind of fry or get scorched in the oven. All right, next we're going to have our mozzarella cheese, and of course if you're using the buffalo mozzarella, you're just going to lay some beautiful slices of that cheese. But here we're just using the low moisture mozzarella that we shredded with a little bit of provolone. Put our beautiful slices of tomato. I like to put the tomatoes on top of the cheese just to help create that moisture barrier between the tomato, which has water content, and your crust, so the crust doesn't get too soggy. This is totally unnecessary and a little over the top, but I'm going to take this seasoned olive oil that's down here, and I'm just going to brush the edge of my crust with that just to help it get nice and golden brown in the oven and impart a little more flavor. Now we're going to put our Margherita pizza in the oven at 425 for 13 to 17 minutes until everything's melted and our crust is nice and browned and crispy on the bottom. Now I'm going to clean up my workstation, but first I need to find somebody to eat this pizza with. So I'm going to call a friend. All right, I think I know who I want to share this pizza with. Let's see if he answers.
Hello.
Hey, what are you doing right now?
Hey, John. I just got off my shift from the mill house.
Where are you going?
You know, I was really hungry and it is lunchtime, so I was looking for some lunch.
Well, stop what you're doing and come down to the House of Plenty. I think I can help that.
All right.
Can you be here in 13 to 17 minutes?
Definitely.
All right, we'll see you soon.
See ya.
While Cole's on his way, I'm just going to throw together a simple salad to enjoy with our pizza. So if we're going to eat all those carbs, we should probably eat a little bit of greens too. Just got some small sweet peppers. You can make a salad out of whatever you've got in your fridge. If you've got cucumbers, peppers, radishes, some hard-boiled eggs, artichokes are nice. I hope Cole likes radishes. Not everybody does, but I do. They're kind of sharp and peppery tasting. If you've never had a radish, you should put it on your salad. Or you could even wrap them in some tin foil with a little salt and pepper and olive oil and roast them in the oven. They get really sweet when you roast them. Makes a delicious side dish. Right. And then I'm going to get one more of my produce stand tomatoes here. Cut some fresh tomatoes. I've got a little bit of homemade Caesar dressing that I made a day or two ago. Use whatever dressing you like. If you have a vinaigrette or a homemade ranch, those are certainly acceptable. Whatever you like to make you eat your salad. Just going to drizzle a little bit of dressing on there. Then I've got a little wedge of Parmesan cheese. Just gonna grate a little cheese on top of our salad. Now while the pizza is finishing in the oven, I'm just gonna clean this up and get ready for my friend to be here. Cole, I'm glad you could make it.
I am so glad you called me just in time.
I can't wait for you to see what we've got today. But first, we've got some strawberry lemonade.
Wow.
And we made a little salad to go with what we made. So you go ahead and grab a salad.
Wow, fresh tomatoes.
Got tomatoes from the farmer's market and some radishes and just some sweet peppers. Just what I had in the refrigerator. And then this is some homemade Caesar that I made a few days ago.
Can't wait to try it.
Where were you going to get lunch today if I hadn't called you?
Probably Mexican.
When you live in a small town, the local Mexican restaurant is about your only option.
Well, those tomatoes are so fresh.
I get them from Gentry's produce stand here. Their tomatoes are good every single time. We've got a few more weeks till my garden tomatoes, me and Kaylin's, will be ripe. But until then, I'll be buying all of mine from the produce stand. What about the Caesar dressing?
Also very fresh. You can definitely tell it's homemade, not store-bought.
My key with Caesar dressing is to always make it from scratch. It's 100 times better than anything that you can buy in the store. It has none of that kind of mechanical, store-bought, bottled up aftertaste that store-bought Caesar dressing has. Oh, all right. Our timer's gone off, so it's time to see what we've got in the oven. We got Margherita pizza.
Wow.
We're just going to garnish that with a little more olive oil, a bit of salt and pepper, and then I've got some chopped basil. I grew these in my green stalk tower gardens out on the front porch.
Well, I love fresh herbs, so.
All right. Do you want to do the honors?
Sure.
All right, slice this up and let's dig into it.
Okay. Well, you can already smell that basil.
Might be hot. All right, so we started by making our yeasted crust. Then we made our pizza sauce from scratch. And then after the crust rose, we rolled it out. We added those fresh produce stand tomatoes, our pizza sauce, and some mozzarella cheese. Let's dive in.
Look at that cheese.
This is what every slice of pizza should be. Full flavored.
Well, I really love the freshness of the herbs. So good. That's my favorite part. And the crust isn't soft, it's crispy.
We used cornmeal on our pizza pan to help get a little crispy bottom on the crust.
Delicious. I'm so glad you called me.
I'm glad you like it. Well, Cole, I'm so glad that I caught you when I did, and that you're able to come down and share this with me. Of course, we got a lot more to eat, but I think we'll stuff our face off camera. Thank y'all for being here with us today too at the House of Plenty Studio Kitchen. I have a downloadable recipe pack with this recipe and several others that make up a complete pizza night for you and your family and friends. The link for that recipe pack is in the description below this video. I hope you enjoyed your time here at the House of Plenty Studio Kitchen. Thank you for coming. And if you liked it, would you like and subscribe this video and maybe even share it with a few friends? Thank you for coming.